Yeah, g'day ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're doing bloody well. Universities were once filled with learned individuals arguing ideas, learning about the world, and, articulating their point of view on many different subjects. But now it's just full of a heap of dickheads, apparently. And, let's talk about that.
University has always been a battleground of ideas, a place to challenge the status quo and shift culture. Activism, protest and debate, they're a part of student life, and professors help to stoke that fire and change perspectives. But recently, there's been a line drawn in the sand, and particular voices are being silenced. So, is it true? Are Australian universities becoming too hostile to controversy?
The government-funded TV station here in Australia, SBS, recently released a video online through their attempt at, getting along with young people. The Feed, which is just absolute trash, but anyway, we'll get to that. It's called Universities, Safe Spaces and Freedom of Speech. And I bet you know how this is going to go. It's just all kinds of fucked.
Just through this door is the women's room. And right now, the UNSW's Women's Collective is having their weekly meeting. I'm not allowed in there for obvious reasons.
Because what? Because you have a penis? I assume you have a penis? Because you're a man and for some reason having a male sex organ affects your ability to think rationally? That sounds a bit like sexism to me. But also, who gives a shit? If women want to have a women's room in a university where they can all hang out and talk about women's stuff like, bras and not attracting enough advertisers to get paid equally in sport, sure, they should have that. But in the same vein, if men want to have a man space where they can go in there and talk about footy and dicks and dicks and footy, they should be able to do that. And if you don't provide that as a public university, then that's nothing than sexism. But it's against men, so who gives a shit?
But I'm hanging out with them today to find out why safe spaces like these are popping up all over Australian campuses.
They are popping up across Australian campuses because it's the popular thing to do. It is a victimhood complex that's built on lies and deceit. And ladies and gentlemen, it is detrimental to young people. I know it sounds like I'm being a fuckwit here to a lot of people, but honestly, this is not a positive thing. None of these things can be overtly positive because it just reinforces the idea in a lot of young people's minds that they can't overcome things in their life. They are set to only experience these things and never move past them. And that is a shit way to live your life, and you are never going to find happiness via doing that. Via doing that? Fuck it. Via doing that.
This room's so important to me just because it's a space on campus that's, for me and other women or female identifying persons like me.
Female identifying persons. All right, love, you're making it way too easy for me to infiltrate this space. All I have to do is go, yeah, I feel like a lady today. Can I come in too?
It's just so inclusive.
It's my first year at uni and all the women I've met here have been so lovely and have helped me on my journey.
Let's forget for a minute that this last scene is showing them finger painting like fucking children and, address the point that it's great that this young lady has found friends in this woman's only space, and that's awesome. That's what life's about, is finding like-minded people that you get along with and you can enjoy yourself. I think that's fantastic. No joke there. I think it's great. Good on you. But stop fucking finger painting. What are you, 5 years old? Dickhead.
The women's room is just like any other room. It's like this room that we're in right now.
Except if you have a dick and balls, because you're automatically a misogynistic piece of shit.
It's like this room that we're in right now. It's got some tea. It's got a lot of lesbian fiction novels.
Lesbian fiction novels? Like what? Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Dildo? Lord of Her Ring? Pride and the Prejudice and the Short Back and Sides? The Girl with the Dragon Butt Plug? Please leave yours in the comment section below. It can be a movie, a TV show, or a book, whatever. Let me know. The winner wins my approval. Good work.
My name's Ruby Leonard. I am the UNSW SRC Women's Officer.
All right, this may be a childish thing for me to say, but imagine being in the SRC when you're an adult. Being in the SRC as a child might look like a good thing to your parents and you get to wear a little badge, but you're a fucking loser. All right? It's just trying to create little politicians without power, like regular politicians. Lol.
Sexual assault on campus is a big thing that we are always trying to address. I think that safe spaces are important because it allows for people to have a space to get away if they're feeling uncomfortable. I know that a lot of women feel like they need to perform in public spaces.
Are you really suggesting that women have to perform and men don't when they're in public? Dudes are trying to impress people, mainly women, as much as women are trying to perform. I don't even know what that means. Like, you really need to back that up with something. But in my opinion, you shouldn't be trying to perform for anyone. You should just be you. And if people can't accept the fact of the person that you are, then fuck them. You need to find, I guess what she's saying is a lot of people are trying to perform to make them happier or feel more included or whatever. You will never feel more included. You will never feel happier by trying to please other people. It just does not work like that. Trust me, I know from experience, okay? You be you, fly that freak flag high, and just fucking enjoy yourself. You dickhead?
Have the male students at the university asked where the men's room is?
Yeah, I get that a lot. I'll often just say, once you've got a man being murdered every 5 days from gendered violence in Australia, sure, you can have your room.
Okay, so here's the first attack of this video on men themselves. And honestly, it's a serious attack because it's suggesting that men kill women. And we all know that that is true. Men kill women on a weekly basis, and the fact that that even occurs in 2019 when I'm recording this video is fucking horrible, disgusting, despicable, and I wish that we lived in a world where that did not occur. But unfortunately, men who are on average, and by average I mean all the time, bigger, stronger, more violent, full of testosterone, and if they go off, then they can actually hurt somebody, or in this case, kill them. And that's horrible, that's shit, and people really need to control themselves, and perhaps it's a mental health question, maybe it's a question of how they're raised. I mean, there's so many variables in this, we can't really handle it in one video. But people saying that this is a gendered attack on women by men, you know who gets attacked by men more than women? Other men. In 2018, for example, according to the Heart Campaign, in Australia, 143 men were killed and 79 women were killed. More men are dying, and that is in violent crime cases. Now, that's not suggesting that the women dying at the hands of men isn't a problem. It's just suggesting that murder is a problem. It's what people have done since the dawn of time. It's a horrible thing. It's the worst thing that people can do to other people, ending someone's life. And I wish it could stop, but I don't think it's going to, particularly with these people creating safe spaces. That's not going to work unless you lock everybody up, and then I guess you just have to worry about the people you're locked up inside with. Not to mention the fact that men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than women. They're more likely to die on the job than women. They're more likely to die at a younger age. They're more likely to go to war and die. All these type of things. But I don't think that's important. I don't think we should be comparing men and women in that trade. We should just say that it's just a shame that this happens. It's just a shame that this occurs, and we need to find a way to stop it. But demonizing men is not the way to fucking stop it. Particularly for people who may actually be misogynistic. They hear this shit, and then they get backed up against the wall, and what's their only option is to retaliate. And that is not a good way to live anybody's life.
If men are walking around on campus constantly vigilant and constantly being victim blamed if they're not being vigilant, you can have your room.
But safe rooms and posters aren't the only strategies the women's collective use to achieve their goal on campus. Increasingly, they prefer to silence the voices they deem to be dangerous. What is deplatforming?
Deplatforming is taking a platform away from people who more often than not are saying controversial things.
Wow. This lady is not only proud of what she's doing, but she is instilling it within her ranks that it is their job to remove people if they are offended by their speech. This is fucking terrifying.
My reaction to people deplatforming me is to keep going. I'm planning to keep speaking on campuses even though the activists are trying their best to shut me down.
This is outrage culture at its finest. People disagreeing, and then they get offended, and then they freak out, and then they demand that something be done. And then the people who run places like universities or companies, they are cowards and they crumble under their pressure. Absolute fucking pussies.
Bettina is currently on a campus speaking tour, promoting her view that rape and sexual assault on Australian campuses is a fake crisis. manufactured by the feminist left. Unsurprisingly, it's caused a stir.
Now, Bettina is an interesting woman here because maybe she is a men's rights activist, as they've labelled her, or maybe she's not. Maybe, like me, they're trying to label her as a men's rights activist to take away from the point that she's trying to make, which in Bettina's case is facts. When we know how much these people at universities hate facts. The idea that rape culture is a thing is absolute bullshit. I'm sorry, but it is.
Hey, are you a dude? We have some questions real quick.
Have you ever complained about the friend zone?
Or sent someone an unwarranted dick pic?
You may not have realized it,
but these are all examples of rape culture at work.
Rape culture is when societal attitudes that normalize rape become accepted.
You might be saying, hey, I've never raped anyone.
But you don't actually have to commit a crime to participate in or benefit from rape culture.
Wow.
You may have heard that 1 in 5 college-age women or university-age women have been sexually assaulted or raped on college or university campuses. Now, that study was conducted online many moons ago, and basically the reason that they came to those results is having ridiculous questions saying that if you get hit on at a bar or someone comes up to you and compliments your hair, then that can constitute sexual assault. Well, I'm sorry, that doesn't constitute sexual assault. Those people might be creepy, but that's not being assaulted. I hope that doesn't happen to you and you can hide away from those creepy dudes, but that's not sexual assault. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, the actual number is 1 in 53 women. Now, obviously that number is way too high. In fact, it should be 1 in a trillion, but that is not the world we live in. It never has been, and most likely never will be. That sucks, but that's just the reality of the situation. Bettina in the past has been very, very critical of the Me Too movement. In fact, she's been one of the only mainstream people to stand up and go out there and say this is bullshit, this is hurting men, and people do not like that at all.
The Me Too movement was meant originally, as we just heard, to empower women and give some women the confidence, I guess, to call out sexism. Has it been derailed a little?
Absolutely. It's been given women a licence to destroy men on the basis of the most trivial accusation. Canadian MP who got upset. She was having a photo taken with 2 other MPs, 2 men on either side of her, and one of them made a joke saying, this wasn't the sort of threesome I had in mind. She said she was traumatised for 6 months.
That, for example, is just a ridiculous thing. Being freaked out for 6 months because some dude said something creepy to you. That's a terrible way to live your life. You're never going to move forward if you just freak out about tiny little things like that. Sometimes people say dumb shit. All right? Don't dwell on it. Move the fuck on.
You're a sexist, misogynist,
It was really intimidating to get through that mob.
That seems like democracy at work. You had a talk, they disagreed, they went and protested out front of it.
What a fucking dumb shit thing to say. Are you seriously suggesting that having a peaceful protest outside of, I don't know, a bank about interest rates and standing there saying, oh, we shouldn't rise interest rates, is the same thing as people screaming about how much of a piece of shit this woman is, getting in her face and scaring her? That is not the same thing.
You're a sexist, misogynist,
This is a typical SBS mentality. Because Bettina disagrees with what this dude, this fucking soy boy thinks, then she must be wrong. It's not how the world works, man. Sometimes facts, sometimes actual things in life don't go the way you want them to go, and they may upset you, and that's okay. Just find a way to get through it.
They didn't just protest outside it. They stopped my audience being able to get to the venue.
It's protesting crowds clashing, or
no, it's not.
There's 2 different points of view coming to clashing.
Fine.
Look at these people screaming at the people they disagree against. This is a terrible way to get anyone's point across. Like, if you don't like someone's music, let's say you fucking hate Nickelback, is the best way to stop Nickelback coming to Australia to perform, having a freak out and a protest and screaming, yelling at people and carrying like an absolute dickhead? Or is it just not to go to the concert?
Identity politics have made people question who deserves to have an audience for their views. For anti-Islam speaker Ayaan Hirsi Ali, her shows were cancelled in Australia after a wave of protests. For professional agitator and anti-feminist Milo Yiannopoulos, his views were deemed too inflammatory to come to Australia. after a string of comments he made after the Christchurch terror attacks. The IPA recently conducted an audit of free speech on Australian campuses and concluded that of 42 universities, only one was sufficiently protecting free speech. 35 universities were actually described as hostile to free speech.
These figures are fucking scary, ladies and gentlemen. These places, universities, colleges, where you learn tertiary education, they are the home to the future thinkers of the world. Well, not really. I mean, who gives a fuck about a uni degree unless you're studying engineering or medicine or something? Honestly, you're better off putting $80,000 in the pokies and having a good old slap. But it turns out that there are young people in universities all across the world that are currently not able to speak their mind. They are brainwashed, they are intimidated, and the only way that they can move up the chain, move through the ladder of the working world is to bow down and accept other people's ideas, because that is the mainstream view on things.
What do you say to people who sort of label our generation as snowflakes or that we lack resilience?
I think they're the snowflakes. To be honest, like if we say anything millennial, they fucking lose it.
My generation is often described as oversensitive. Do you think that we're actually just emotionally aware? A bit more compassionate?
I think you're very good at crying crocodile tears for popular causes.
These cries from these people, these demands for deplatforming achieves nothing. All the time that these people spend doing these things are for their own benefit. They are not helping anyone. They are not addressing the actual issues and the cause of these issues. They are just doing it because this is the popular thing to do. If you want to make change, get into politics, implement actual things, use your ideas, debate people. There's nothing wrong with that. Compare ideas. Don't just run with your own idea without doing the research, without thinking logically. You have to have a mind that's able to be molded, and that's what people aren't having anymore. You need to go into all these debates really with an open mind and the ability to change yours if you are proven wrong. Why do you have to go in with a mindset that I am right and there is nothing that can change my mind? That is absolute bullshit. Ladies and gentlemen, be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe. Your dick stinks, and I'll see you very soon. Toodaloo bye.